First of all, far too many uses of the word "we" there. Considering your audience.
You're watching Golf News Kicking Back. I'm Imran and I'm joined by Matt and Shamsuri to talk about last night's games. But let's start with some of the rumours doing the rounds. Chelsea will challenge Man City for the signature of Aston Villa and England midfielder Jack Grealish. I think he's going to be quite sought after this tournament. He's playing well. Sergio Ramos is set to turn down interest from Man United and Man City and join PSG. That'll be an interesting move. And Norwich want to sign 20-year-old Scotland midfielder Billy Gilmore on a season-long loan from Chelsea. All right, to the action, and Scotland could have done with Gilmore playing yesterday night. Sadly, their dreams of making history by progressing at Euro 2020 were ended with a 3-1 defeat against Croatia. They made a really bright start to the game. I think they won a corner after about 10 seconds, I think it was. But Vlasic gave Croatia the lead. But then Scotland finally did something that they haven't done so far in the tournament, and that's score a goal. What a goal it was as well from Callum McGregor. Sadly, though, Scotland conceded another world-class goal like they did against the Czech Republic. Schick got it from the halfway line over there. Last night, Modric scored an absolute beauty from the outside of his right foot to restore their lead, and then Perisic added a third. It was game over. Matt, commiserations. What did you make of their performance last night?
Yeah, it's the same old story again. They flattered to deceive in the opening half, and yeah, they got the goal, but it just wasn't enough. They were fairly poor in the second half, and I think obviously they really missed Billy Gilmore, who's as we were calling him the Scottish Canty. They don't have any strength and depth to replace a man of that talent, and it really told last night. In the second half, Croatia just moved up a gear, and their class showed through. And unfortunately, Luka Modric chose the Scotland game to finally turn up in the tournament. He really showed his class in that second half. Got a great goal, got the assist for the second goal, their third goal, sorry. And by that time, it was all over, and Scotland sent home to think again, as they say. Yeah, there's definite progress in that team. I mean, like 4 years ago, we've even had a sniff of considering competing with these guys and taking a point off England. So if you consider the age of some of these young talented guys like Gilmore, then you know that they're only going to get better. So optimism for the next time around, and it'll be a whole other set of heartbreaks that time.
Yeah, commiserations, Matty. But you can all keep your heads high with that performance. Scotland fought their hearts out, and they were brilliant in at times, and they were not consistent enough. That's the reason, and the gulf in class was shown because Croatia was in a different mode yesterday. But they missed a certain midfielder. Billy Gilmore, he was a huge miss for Scotland in that midfield because he was pulling the strings together, which we have seen in the previous game. But for Croatia, man, the certain Luka Modric, man, what a player he is. These kind of players, these world-class players, they thrive on these kind of situations. It was a pressure cooker situation, it was a decider kind of a game, but they love it. They relish these kind of challenges, and that to score that Trivela using the outside of his right foot was an absolute magical goal. It was a world-class strike from a world-class player. So the Gulf in class was the difference, but for Scotland, they can keep their heads high, and they just have to believe that this is not the end of everything. They just need to believe that this is the beginning of something for them, and they can regularly compete in the major tournaments from hereafter, because they have got good crop of young players, and some of the players are at their peak of their career. So if they can keep moving, the future is bright for the Scots. So you have to keep your heads high and move forward.
Yeah, Scotland, I mean, this was their first major tournament in 23 years. Obviously, they're out of it now for the World Cup. If they can keep that squad together and build around, like you say, Shamsir, the likes of Billy Gilmore, Scott McTominay, John McGinn, there's some decent players there, they'll be back, won't they?
Yeah, they'll definitely be back. I think that now that they've finally got that monkey off their back of qualifying for a tournament, they know what they need to do. They had they managed to prove themselves in the pressure situations against Serbia, and the dramatic penalty shootout when they got them there in the first place. They know that they can achieve these things now. Steve Clarke's definitely the right man for the job because he's a no-nonsense manager, and they've definitely got the talent there. If they can just unearth a gem of a striker, then I think they'll be pretty good going forward. To me, that's their weakest area is just to get that finisher. And if they can find somebody in the Chelsea academy that can come through in the next year or so, then we'll be sorted.
100%, man. Yeah, the best academy in England by a country mile, Cobham. Yes, you can see how Billy Gilmore is performing, after coming into the academy. So yeah, I'm with you with that. And another point about the Scotland squad is that they lack that cutting edge, like what Matty mentioned. But if they can get to one of the good strikers, because many of those players are playing in the Premier League now, and they are getting the experience, and the future is bright for the Scotland. I wouldn't be buckle down with that result, because the progressing into the tournament itself was an achievement. Now the next step is to progress into the round of 16 in the coming tournaments. So for that they have to qualify for the World Cup. So that should be their aim next.
Yeah, let's have a word on Croatia. They're obviously through as qualifiers of that group. Not qualifiers, they came third in the end. But they're going to face the runners-up in Group E, and that could be Sweden, Slovakia, Spain, or Poland. How far do you think they're going to go in this tournament now? I think they had a slow start. They lost against England. They drew against the Czech. Won last night. They're coming in, but now we saw a flash of brilliance from Modric, but he's 36. Can he maintain that? Can he do any more as the tournament goes on? The next round of fixtures does look favourable. I mean, those aren't very teams. To get past that last 16 into the quarterfinals. What do you think?
Yeah, they definitely. We talked about this earlier, that finishing third in that group might actually get you a better draw than finishing first or second, because the first and second teams are up against the likes of France, Germany, Portugal, just depending on how tonight's matches go. The third place, Spain could be, there for the taking, even if they manage to get through, which is no given. Finland, Slovakia. The Croatia will fancy their chances, especially after they turned in a good performance after two fairly mediocre performances in their first couple of games. So, as you say, a slow burner. They might actually, you look at the last World Cup, nobody was really talking about them before it. They got all the way to the final against the odds. So they might have just flattered to not deceive in the first couple of games, and now that they're going to. Do like in New Zealand in the Rugby World Cup, just get better and better and better as it goes on. And you could see them. I mean, I know it was only one game, but yeah, there was a vast improvement, and they'll fancy their chances in the last 16 now.
Yeah, 100%. Croatia, like what we have mentioned in the preview yesterday, we don't know which Croatia is going to turn up. If the Croatia that turned up against Scotland is going to turn up for the rest of the tournament, then nobody wants to face them, because they're a good side. They're very solid, and their big players all turned up yesterday. So whether it is Spain, Sweden, or Slovakia, it doesn't matter. Croatia is going to give a proper fight to them. And like what Matty mentioned, they are a slow burner, and they're burning now. So it's going to be a tough game. Whoever meets them, they'll give a fight.
Yeah, for sure. Again, Matt, commiserations, done well. But let's move on to the other game last night. Raheem Sterling got his second goal of Euro 2020 as we beat Czech Republic 1-0 and won Group D. That means we have set up a last 16 tie, possibly against either France, Germany, Portugal, or even Hungary. Foden was left out last night of that game. There were starts for Maguire. He played his first 90 minutes, so Southgate will be very pleased to get him back. Grealish played, obviously, for Mount was missing, and Saka played. He had a really good game. But we stuck with Harry Kane again in the attack, and he drew another blank yesterday. His lack of goals is a bit of a concern now for me. We've only got two so far in the tournament, both Sterling. We're not playing the sort of football that I want to see us play, attacking on the front foot. We're not doing that at all. But we're unbeaten in three. We haven't conceded a goal, and we're looking solid defensively. So what do you make of England so far?
Well, first of all, far too many uses of the word "we" there. considering your audience. But I'll do my bit for City first. England tried to play the way City play. Obviously, with Sterling and Foden up there, they've obviously thought that they can do this relentless pressing game, and it doesn't seem to work. And the concern for the City checkbook balancers is Harry Kane doesn't seem to be fitting in with those two up front. So whether he'll be the right move to fit in at the Etihad, we'll wait and see. But before Harry Kane's shot on target yesterday, all goals and attempts on target had come from City players. They'd hit the post 3 times through Sterling, Foden and Stones. Sterling had got 2 goals, and that was it. Now that to me is the concern. Harry Kane, it was a great stop, instinctive stop by the keeper to stop him from actually scoring, and Kane did nothing wrong with that effort. I think that he was a lot brighter, and I think that the service that Grealish gave him from the left was a lot better as well, and it allowed Sterling a little bit more freedom of movement as well. So I think, the way that England setup is, I think Grealish fits in better there than Foden did. But I still think that if you were to take Harry Kane out of that equation and whack Foden in the middle, you might have had a lot more joy. An entirely different player, different height, different build, but the creativity and the cheeky little runs that he can make, I think you would find that he's getting on a lot more things and getting in behind the defenders a lot more. Because Harry Kane's easy to mark because he's a giant. Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing about England, they were in at their blistering pace, but the job was done, which was enough. In a major tournaments, you don't need to perform so well. If you're getting the result, that's enough. So you have to give credit to Southgate for progressing into the round of 16, topping the group. But the Pandora box was opened yesterday, and they unleashed a certain wizard in them, which is Jack Grealish. What a player he is! He inspired the English attack. You know what he is capable of. The Premier League, the whole Premier League knows about that. Now the world is watching, and I have no idea why Gareth Southgate is not starting him in all the games, because he should be a first name on the team sheet, because the ability that he possesses, his touches, his movement, his audacity, everything is absolutely sensational. He can dribble past. He has not got that blistering pace, but he can still dribble past many players. Then he can shield the ball better than anyone in that England squad. He can arguably he can shield that ball better than anyone in the Premier League, and he attracts 2-3 defenders towards him, which gives his teammates space to work on. So he's a terrific player, and he should be starting more for England. And you can see he can pick a pass. The goal came from his pass, his cross, in fact, and that was a brilliant cross. Another player who made a mark in the game was Bukayo Saka. He was driving from throughout the midfield, and he was creating havoc in that left-hand side for the Croatian defense. And he was tearing apart that right flank for England. Then, but for Southgate, he ditched that 4-3-3 system, and he played the 4-2-3-1, where Grealish had all the freedom to link up with Sterling and Kane. But like what Imran mentioned, I really worry about Kane, because he's dropping back a lot, and he's trying to build the attack from the midfield, which is not going to work out for him. It works out for him in Spurs, but for England, he just needs to stay in the 6-yard box, and the crosses and the passes will come towards him, because they have so many attacking players in their belt. So, he just needs to stay in the 6-yard box, and he'll get the chances to score, but he is dropping back, which is a problem.
Yeah, I think it's probably too early to judge England right now. Right, they've had 3 games. They've done just about okay. They're unbeaten, like we say. They haven't conceded a goal. As an attacking threat, I think for sure there's a lot to come from them. So I think it'll be unwise to label them as a certain way, as a defensive team or a team lacking cutting edge. I mean, it's a little tournament. If they were to progress, it'll be interesting to see how they get on. But like we say, Kane, I was surprised that he actually started yesterday. They'd already qualified. Southgate could have. He's got plenty of attacking options on the bench. He could have started with Calvert-Lewin up front if he wanted to. But he stuck with Kane, so that tells me he's trying to give him game time, trying to get his fitness back up. He's trying to get him up to speed, so he'll be a lot better for the rest of the tournament. But they're safely through. Let's move on. There's 4 games tonight. plenty of football to come. Let's start with Slovakia playing against Spain. Now, Spain, they should have enough to get a win here, but I think they've got to be a bit more direct. They, like they always do, playing way too many passes. They don't really go nowhere. There's too many sideways and backwards passing. But if they can be a bit more direct, get the ball forward quicker, I think they should get a 2-0 win here. What do you think?
Yeah, well, I think they got riled by I think it was Van der Vaart. It said that they've been really, really poor and whatever, and then Spain said we want to meet Netherlands now. So they've got a little mission. They've got a little mini mission on their hands. They said we want to meet the Netherlands, and then we'll show them exactly what we can do. He was mocking them for, as you said, they're passing but not going anywhere. He said they can only pass sideways. They can't score. They're terrible. And then, the Spain players came out and said, we're putting that on the dressing room wall. We're using that, and that's going to be their motivation. So I think you're going to see a different Spain today. Just the way they're talking, the way the camp seems to be behaving. I think they definitely they want to prove a point to the critics, especially Van der Vaart. So I'd say maybe 3-0. Let's see. They're going to get their scoring boots on today.
Lovely. Yeah, we all want Spain to progress. Yeah, there is no doubt about that. We all want all the big teams to progress so that the tournament becomes even more exciting. But I worry about Spain. But even a draw would be enough for them, because with 3 points and no goal difference, that could be enough for them to progress. But this plays into the hands of Slovakia, because they're a very good defensive side, and they can just sit back and absorb the pressure. And if they can get a draw, that will be the best outcome for them, and they can progress as well. So I have a feeling this is going to be another draw. So it could be a score draw or a 0-0.
Oh, that'll be really disappointing for Spain. They'll be, like we say, let's see how that goes. Right, there's Sweden against Poland, and Isaac's really caught the eye for me. He's been a really good player. If Sweden can keep it tight at the back and rely on him to provide the spark up front, I think they can nick this 1-0.
Yeah, again, I think I'll go on the flip side, because I think that Lewandowski finding the back of the net in the last match, that Poland will do a job on them, and then they'll get through. So I'll go 1-0 the other way.
Yeah, for Poland, like in the last game, all the big players needs to be turning up for this game as well. So Lewandowski have found his scoring touch. So it's going to be a tough game against Poland and Sweden. Poland needs a win. Sweden just needs a draw to just guarantee their top spot in the group. And Sweden are a very tough team to break down. And they have got, like what Imran mentioned, there is a magician in Alexander Isak. It's very tough to call, but I want Poland to qualify. So I'm going for a Poland win 1-0, because Sweden can play with a lot of freedom, because they're already through. So they can just break the shackles and just play the free-flowing football, which if they want to, because they have been very stubborn in defense and everything, very organized side. But if they can break the shackles and go forward, it's going to be a good game to watch. And I think Poland might nick it.
All right, and a really interesting one, Germany against Hungary. As we've seen, Hungary, they're all heart. They gave France a really big scare the other day. But Germany have just clicked into gear. I think they just about nicked this 1-0. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that the massive factor for Hungary is they won't be at Budapest. They're in Munich. So they won't have the 65,000 fans screaming behind them. It'll be a different ballgame for them, and I don't know how well they'll do away from home without that massive backing. And I said the way that Germany, with the aid of a couple of own goals, they managed to score 4 against Portugal. So I think that they'll probably win about 2-0.
Yeah, for Germany, they are missing Thomas Muller in this game, and that's a major miss for them. But a certain Goretzka is back into the squad, and he should be starting this game. They have a plethora of talent up front, apart from a genuine goal scorer. But a certain Kai Havertz and Gnabry are all on form. So, but like what Matty mentioned, Hungary doesn't have the 12th man along with them for this game, and whereas Germany will have, and that's going to be a difference. I think Germany are suspect in defense. They have only like 3 clean sheets in their last 16 games, so they will give you a chance or two. But whether Hungary is hungry enough, I'm not sure. So I think I'm going for a German win. It could be like 2 or 3 for the Germans.
And the big one for tonight, France against Portugal. This should be good. Ronaldo's obviously chasing that record. It's a big game. I think he'll be on the score sheet. But I think this is going to be a 1-1 draw. I don't see any winner here. What do you think?
I think it all depends on the Benzema factor, and if he can click with Mbappe. I think if those two can get it together, they were very. The whole team was very fluid in the first game against Germany, but they were very disjointed against Hungary. And I don't know if that was again that crowd in Hungary or whether they just had a bad day. I don't know, but it is a very tricky one. There won't be any sitting back though, because both teams have still got points to prove. So I'd maybe go for a scoring draw. Let's make it thrilling 2-2.
Yeah, for Portugal, it's a game of dilemma. You know, a draw will be enough for them to progress, but a win can make them top the group. So I don't know how they will approach this game. You know, whether they're going to attack or they'll just naturally defend, which is their game. But for France, on the other hand, you know, they just need to show to the world that it was just a slip up against Hungary. So they just want to show that they are here to win it. So I think I'm going for a France win. If Giroud starts for them, he's going to score, and it will be 2-0 for France. And Cristiano Ronaldo, having scored a goal against France, scored, so that will be an inspirational thing for him. It will be like a motivation for him to score against this French squad and close down to that Ali Daei's record of 109 goals. So yeah, but still, the motivation and everything is there for Portugal, but I'm going for a France win. It's going to be 2-0.
There's going to be a lot of channel surfing going on the game because those games are at the same time. So get your thumbs ready. That's all for us for today. Remember, log into golfnews.com for all the latest news, and we'll catch you again tomorrow morning.